Anybody can run the football. They've proven it. Anybody can run the football behind that offensive line. And then you have the extra headache of dealing with Jalen Hurts, who creates all kinds of issues as that extra person you have to account for when you're stopping the run. So I think it's more of typically I lean towards, if you're going to ask me questions about anything, I lean towards talent over scheme. When it comes to the Eagles rushing attack, I lean towards scheme over talent because they've proven, every single one of them, they've proven they can run the football with Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard, Boston Scott, Kenny Gainwell. Every single one of them, they have proven they can run the football effectively.
A pre-playoff football Friday at that. Means we're building up toward a showdown on Sunday between the Bucs and the Birds in Tampa. First round of the playoffs. Super wildcard weekend. I love the way we over-discuss. It's the biggest season in the National Football League history because they added one game.
For some reason, Jody, that reminds me. Are you a Looney Tunes fan?
Yeah,
Bugs Bunny.
I wouldn't say I'm Looney Tunes about Looney Tunes, but I watched cartoons when I was a kid.
I was a big Wile E. Coyote guy, and when they would let them talk, because in a lot of ones with the Roadrunner, they wouldn't let them talk, but there were some where it's paired with Bugs Bunny where it could talk, and he would have his business card, and it would say Wile E. Coyote, super genius. That's what super wild card weekend reminds me of for some reason. About
Wile E. Coyote. He wasn't a master speaker, but yes, he did emphasize the super when given a chance, which, much like with Wile E. Coyote, this is overstated as well. All right, we got one extra game. It's on Monday night. We got to wait a little bit longer to put the weekend to bed, but they have expanded the playoffs, and they expanded the days that they are having the playoffs. The Eagles game falls pretty much in the middle, the sixth game, so you can't have a perfect middle. It's kind of like the NFL season at 17 games now. You can't have a mid-season anymore because it's an odd number of games. Thank you very much, National Football League. Same with the playoffs. Yeah, I like the Sunday at 1.
I love Sunday at 1. I love Sunday at 1.
You have a bigger reason because you have travel included and deadlines and the like. I'm just looking at it from, well, I do have that because I got to be on the air at 6 o'clock on Sunday, but that's when football's supposed to be played. I've been doing this for 50 some odd years, being a fan of the National Football League. That's when your team's supposed to play when you're on the East Coast. Sunday at 1, so I'm glad the Eagles are playing Sunday at 1. And it could actually benefit the Eagles because I double-checked the weather right before I came on. Only a 90% chance of rain in Tampa on Sunday, which means it's going to rain, despite what the coach of the Bucs may say. Oh, give it 10 minutes. It may change. Well, probably not. There's going to be some wetness on the field. I'm seeing definitely rain in the morning, may drift into the afternoon, which means it may be raining while they're playing, or it could just be a slick field. But first time I saw wind declarations of 20 to 25 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's the bigger issue. That's always the bigger issue. I found that NFL teams, and especially good quarterbacks, which I kind of mentioned yesterday, rain doesn't bother them much at all. But wind is what they're concerned about. And yeah, I mean, that's not to the point. You remember the Buffalo game a couple years ago, and you remember Buffalo, New England this year. It's when it's really bad, there's nothing you can do when it comes to throwing the football. So that could be 20 to 30 could have an effect certainly on the passing games, and that part of it would probably be an advantage to the Eagles, I would think. The rain part, as I said, talking to Aaron Rodgers over the years and Tom Brady, I think that would actually be an advantage to Tampa Bay, even though it's counterintuitive. I kind of explained that on yesterday's show. That's what those guys always say. I got to take them at their word, and the fact that, you know, we know where we're going, the defense doesn't know where they're going. So if anybody's going to slip, you know, it's more likely to be the defensive side of the football. So who knows? But it's another little curveball to throw into the mix. I would say if I'm an Eagles fan, I'd be rooting for wind more than rain.
Agreed. I think, despite what Tom Brady says, I hear what he's saying, that yes, it's always an offense advantage that they know what they're going and the defense doesn't. They're reacting more than anything else. Yeah, I'd rather run the ball in the rain. That would be me. In the wind, I'm almost, my head is almost forced that I have to run the ball. And yeah, I think the Eagles can run the ball better than the Bucs can. Although playoff Lenny, I did see some video of him yesterday in Tampa's practice. Looked like he was moving around pretty damn well. Didn't look like a guy who was coming off any hamstring type issues. And he is the key to their running game. They've been okay at running back. The kid Vaughn, draft pick this year, filled in admirably over the last couple of weeks, but he's not as good a player as Leonard Fournette is. So we perceive the Eagles to have an advantage running the ball. I certainly concur with that. I don't know if I would call it a major advantage running the ball if Fournette is good to go.
Well, you know, the Eagles lead the NFL in rushing, so I'm not going to say anybody has the advantage over them when it comes to running the football. But we talked a little bit about why, and it generally relates to the quarterback and the offensive line more than the actual running back. So I guess it depends how you're going to flesh things out. Leonard Fournette has more yards running, and he missed time, than any of the Eagles running backs. So yeah, from a running back standpoint, he's as good as anybody the Eagles have. But I don't think that's what fuels the Eagles running game. I think what fuels the Eagles running game is anybody can run the football. They've proven it. Anybody can run the football behind that offensive line. And then you have the extra headache of dealing with Jalen Hurts, who creates all kinds of issues as that extra person you have to account for when you're stopping the run. So I think it's more of typically I lean towards, if you're going to ask me questions about anything, I lead towards talent over scheme. When it comes to the Eagles rushing attack, I lean towards scheme over talent because they've proven, every single one of them, they've proven they can run the football with Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard, Boston Scott, Kenny Gainwell. Every single one of them, they have proven they can run the football effectively.
That is the strength of the Eagles, is their offensive line getting pushed for their running game. We both agree on that one. Speaking of that running game, did you lay eyes on Miles Sanders yesterday?
I did, for a very short period of time. The Eagles, for some reason, the nicest day in Philadelphia in a couple weeks at least, and they went inside the bubble. So the NFL has restricted access again because of the explosion of COVID cases and blah, blah, blah. So anytime they're inside, we're not allowed to watch the small portion of practice we even typically can. So we didn't get to watch practice. All we got to watch is the Eagles walking from the NovaCare complex into the practice bubble. And I did see Miles walking, and he didn't have anything on either hand. No tape, no brace, no nothing. So who knows? He might have had something and put it on when he got in there. But I guess you could say it's a positive sign at least. He certainly looks like he's going to play, no question.
That's why I asked the question, because I saw the same video you did. You saw it with your own two eyes. So Miles Sanders, with no attachments to his hand, we'll have to see if he can play with it, if it is 100%. But that's a very good sign as far as I'm concerned. Now, you did say when the NFL decided the Eagles going to practice inside, you mean the NFL decided you weren't going to be allowed in to see the Eagles practice inside?
Yeah, the NFL rule is we can't watch when they're inside. The Eagles decided to practice inside.
I just wanted to make sure that maybe I heard it incorrectly. But the NFL didn't decide to stiff you guys. No, the Eagles made that decision themselves. And you're right, it was a nice day and probably a little chilly, but they don't have to worry about that against Tampa, because in rain and in wind, it's still going to be in the 60s. Close to 70 at kickoff on Sunday. So I got no problems with them practicing inside, even though it did limit your ability to see what was going on. Did Josh Sweat make the walk yesterday? Because that is one thing that does concern me as we sit here on the Friday before the Sunday game. Second consecutive day did not participate at all in practice. They're calling it a non-COVID illness. You get any further details? Did you see Josh at all? They can really not afford to have him out of the lineup, John, because I think a key to this game, and it might not favor the Eagles the way the weather might favor the Eagles, it may come down to the team that gets more pressure on the quarterback. The Eagles have to have pressure on Brady. If he is allowed to just sit back there and take his throws from his spots, I think they're in a whole lot of trouble, even if they're down a couple of their weapons on the outside. And one of the few guys, the only guy on the outside who's been getting pressure for the Eagles over the last month has been Josh Sweat. They need him in the lineup on Sunday. Any other tidbits you can add there that Josh is just working through a cold or something like that and should be go on Sunday, or is this legit concern for Eagle fans?
No, I don't think it's a legit concern. Obviously, in today's world, you want to keep players away from other players if they're sick, because the last thing you want is to start going through the team, the locker room, et cetera, et cetera. So I just think they're being extra cautious. And as we said with Miles, if this were a regular season game, I find it hard to believe Miles Sanders would be out there, but it's not. It's the playoffs, and I think there's no question he's going to try to play. So to me, there's no question that Josh Sweat is going to play on Sunday. The only issue is COVID, and people have said, "Well, has he got COVID?" No, he doesn't have COVID. If he has COVID, he's got to be on the COVID list. So, I think people forget. There are other sicknesses other than COVID, and people and players have been playing with them for years and years and years and years. So, the Eagles don't practice all that much anyway. Let's be honest. They had a walkthrough on Wednesday. They did practice a little bit on Thursday. They even had the pads on, but only to, work on like run fits and both on the offensive side, the defensive side. They weren't hitting or anything of that nature, just to get the feel for it with the pads on. So he's not missing a ton of work, and he's at this stage, he is a veteran player, and I don't think they're concerned about it. Yeah, I expect him to be out there on Sunday. Unless a regular illness turns into a COVID illness, which I don't even know if that's possible.
Nor do I, and it's something we won't know about probably till game time on Sunday. So take us from now until Sunday. Are the Eagles going to practice today? Is it going to be a walkthrough? What time are they flying to Tampa? As we count down the hours to kickoff, what does it look like for the Eagles between now and start of the game?
Yeah, they're going to have a short practice today, typical Friday practice, which is the shortest practice of the week, and then they'll leave for Tampa on Saturday. The Eagles like to be in the opposition city for as short a time as possible. It's a business trip. Nobody's going to Clearwater beach time like Ed Kratz, who's not going to be on the show today because he needs his Clearwater beach time, so we can rip him about that next week. But yeah, they're not going down there to go to the beach. So just a business trip. And one thing everybody has consistently said, because the Eagles are getting all these questions from Nick Sirianni on down about the Bucs playoff experience, and understandably so, with Tom Brady and Bruce Arians and Rob Gronkowski and down the list. And they've said, to a man, It's like any other week. You prepare like any other week. The minute you go out the minute you try to make it bigger than it is, that's when your eyes get big and you're probably starting to get starstruck and looking at the other side and looking at number 12, and that's how you get beat. Same as week 6. Prepare for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because they're next on the schedule.
Easier said than done. More power to them if that's the message the coach is trying to put forth. It's a good one. It's a smart one. Is it a realistic one? We're talking about practice squad guys included, 60-plus guys who know what's up, who know what the score is, who know what the game is. They know that there's only going to be 6 games played this weekend, not 16 games played this weekend. You can say it. You can try and ingrain it into your thinking. Can you really remove it from the thought process totally that it's not a more important game than the first 17 you played?
I think it's more difficult for the players. I think it's easy for the coaches. I mean, it's easy. They have the same schedule. They have the same schedule they have every week. So from that standpoint, it's easy to not change it and to stay in your lane, so to speak. But yeah, from the player perspective, and I even asked Dallas Goedert, I think I mentioned on the show, I asked him about Gronk. He doesn't even play Gronk, but he's going to be watching Gronk. I mean, he plays the Tampa Bay defense. He never sees Rob Gronkowski on the field. But, when you're a tight end and you got one of the best tight ends who ever played the game on the other side, you're paying attention. You're looking at him. And the same thing with Jalen Hurts, even though, Jalen Hurts is not going to, and he has actually kind of swatted off any questions about Tom Brady and about how playing against perhaps the greatest quarterback of all time. He doesn't even want to go down that route, but, he's heard it. He understands the enormity of it. And again, I brought up this number all week. 46 versus 1. 46 playoff start for Tom Brady, first for Jalen Hurts.
So another number that was kind of hard to swallow today. Tom Brady, 34 playoff victories. The Philadelphia Eagles as an organization in the Super Bowl era, 23 playoff victories.
You could do that to every team, though. That's not fair, Jody. The Eagles are closer than most teams.
Closer than a lot of teams.
Yes.
If it's most, it's just about more than half. There are teams that have had more playoff wins than the Eagles since 1967, I think, was the first Super Bowl. He's John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. We are the Mac and Mac Birds 365 duo. We will add a third member. Our buddy Martin Frank will join us coming up next. He's already online. He's ready to rock. That's what we like to see.
Go. Unlike Kratz, he's going. I think Kratz is on his way to the beach.
He's got info. Yeah. He's going to tell you how the Eagles are or aren't going to win this game. You're going to have to stay tuned to find out. Birds 365 here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel.